let's make some waves by sharing my unpopular opinions in art. Maybe I'll get more than 4 comments for sharing these controversial takes on the art scene. But please be kind if you leave a comment. This is a safe space. Number 1, stop trying to find your style. Trying too hard to find your style can be limiting. Rather than accepting criticism, often an artist will deflect with, "That's my style." And some things are stylistic choices. However, this can become an excuse to draw things inaccurately, ignoring things like considering a light source, anatomy being functional, or choosing a cohesive color palette. Trying to find a style is such a popular topic in various videos by a variety of different artists. And I'm not saying to only draw and paint in a realistic way, but to focus on learning and exploring art as a whole. The first part of this opinion is that you already have a style. That's probably not what you want to hear. If you gather 100 artists and provide them the same reference, asking for them to paint realistically, they will create 100 different artworks. Style is the way you make marks, the way you understand the physical world, artists who inspire you, and the skills you have. Instead of focusing on developing an art style, focus on learning. Learn the fundamentals like value, anatomy, color theory, composition. And maybe you're thinking, but I want to do anime, and they have big eyes, so I don't need to know how to render a realistic eye. If you want to be a figurative artist, meaning not abstract, the fundamentals help you achieve that goal. Yes, anime has big eyes, and if you do a semi-realistic portrait, the eye will look like it has to function, which means you will need to know how to render a functioning eye. I believe to grow as an artist, you need to practice fundamentals along with your style. And that leads me to the second part of this point. As an artist, your style is going to change over time. You will improve with the study of fundamentals and by doing master studies. Maybe you watch a tutorial on better line work, or do a master study of another artist, or try a different medium. The beautiful thing about art is there's always something more to learn. If you draw a photorealistic style, then try Impressionism. If you draw American cartoon styles, try drawing anime. You may have more than one style. I have a painterly style, and then I have the style I draw my comic in. Number 2. Use at least student-grade supplies. Yes, you can make amazing art with a variety of art supplies, including those which are on the low end of the budget. But there's more to it than what I feel a lot of YouTube artists explain. Supplies are similar to instruments in music. If I'm a professional clarinet player, I can make a student-tier instrument sound really good. The same way I can create art with limited supplies. A beginning clarinet player will probably not have a professional clarinet to start, but a student-level instrument. The keys work, it produces sound, and it's affordable for mom and dad. However, a cheap instrument, by which I mean low quality and a price that's probably too good to be true, will cause more headache for a beginning clarinet player. And in a similar way, I recommend selecting art supplies that won't cause more trouble than they're worth. I recommend student-grade art supplies when starting a new medium. If you feel like you are fighting the medium, there's 2 possibilities. One is that you need a higher quality product. For example, if you have a set of watercolor and are unable to add washes to your piece, you might need cotton watercolor paper. Another example is using drawing paper, which will better hold graphite and charcoal and stand up to more erasing than printer paper. The other problem may be you need to learn more about the medium. For example, I dislike acrylic paint. It dries too fast for me and it makes blending soft edges much more difficult compared to oil paint. I also like to work with a mid-tone and then bring it up the lights and the darks, but that's not very helpful when trying to paint with watercolors. Along these lines, I would say that a limited palette of nice paint is better than a pack of 100 colors of not great paint. I know color mixing is scary, especially for artists who have just started. Having every color on hand seems like an easy fix. However, it'll be more difficult to create a cohesive palette since all the colors are at full saturation. You will also be mixing colors that already have black and white in them, so if you add black or white, they then become very gray. I think color mixing is a skill that requires a lot of practice. Yes, you can watch 100 videos on color mixing and color theory, but most of the knowledge and the skill are obtained through the process and practice of mixing colors. Number 3, I don't like being told I'm talented. I've been told many times, "You're so talented," and I grin and thank the person, because I know they mean well. But art is a skill. I was pretty average at art until 5th grade, where I drew a dragon and thought it looked cool. I drew that dragon 100 more times, and then I started drawing characters from Redwall because furries with axes and sword were easier to draw than humans. At this point, I was drawing pretty regularly, and art is very much about repetition. The more pieces you can make from start to finish, the more you're going to improve. Art, in my opinion, can be broken down into 3 skill sets: observation skills, technical skills, and creativity. Observation is the ability to see things in the physical world, like how your refrigerator isn't pure white, or being able to see the bounce light on an object, or using a pencil to capture the measurements and angles. And these skills can be taught. Technical skills are the process of creating art, both knowing how a medium works and the ability to capture a 3-dimensional object on a 2-dimensional surface. These skills also require a lot of practice. But creativity isn't a skill. Well, yes and no. There are things that inspire creativity, like using only 3 colors or working with a material in an unusual way. In my opinion, talent is the ease in which a skill is obtained. But at the end of the day, a person who practices art and works on these skills will be better than a person who just has raw talent and does not practice. What do I tell an artist whose work I like? Great question. Comment on some specific element you do like. I really like the colors you used in the sky. Wow, his face is so expressive. I like how you shaded that. Even if an artist likes to be told that they are talented, these examples on specific parts of the piece will make an artist stay. Number 4. Don't accept the promise of royalties as a form of payment. I say this while working on my webcomic that I do for free, but I love Fortune's Fancy and I love creating it. I'm too busy to update regularly and I have a rather small following. But it's a personal project that I do solely because I like it. And even if I had more followers, and even if I did have more followers, a majority of webcomics don't generate enough money for you to live on or to only work on that webcomic. Usually people who do well with webcomics also have merchandise and printed copies of their comic available. This opinion kind of came from belonging to a webcomic group, where a writer asked if an artist would accept 100% of the royalties instead of an upfront payment. Yes, this is a little bit more generous than what writers usually offer, which is about 60-40 or 70-30, should there be any profit from the comic. However, the way the person went about it, they bashed artists as all being horrible writers, unable to create a good idea for a comic, and they stated that artists asking for a payment up front to do a webcomic was a scam. And, I really think by the way this person acted about not wanting to share their writing and not wanting to pay an artist up front, that they were probably a younger writer. Now, I'm not saying that you should never ever accept this offer from a writer in order to create the art portion of a webcomic. I think you should talk out what if it makes money. However, I think a lot of writers are very naive, and a lot of artists as well, in that they will accept this thinking it's going to be a good offer and be disappointed that they make no money. All of this to say that yes, if you absolutely love the story and you have some spare time, go for it. I think making a webcomic is a wonderful experience. And that brings me to the conclusion of the video. If you like it, be sure to leave a comment down below or hit that like button. Let me know your unpopular opinions, and I'll see you in the next one.